Hello, everyone, and welcome to Always Be Reading. I'm Chantel, and tonight is one of my very favorite nights because it is Books with Friends night. And I am joined by Lucila Crena, who is my friend. She is also a reader, and you guys, she's a great conversationalist. So I'm so excited to have her join me tonight as we turn our attention to Amor Towles' book, A Gentleman in Moscow. So excited. And I am also so grateful because I did not know about this book. I didn't know it existed. I don't know how that happened. So when I asked her to join me on Books with Friends, she suggested this novel, and I am ever so grateful. So this novel is set in 1922, and the focus of this beautiful work is on the one and only Count Alexander Rostov, who has been sentenced to house arrest in a luxurious hotel called the Hotel Metropole in Russia. And he was sentenced there by a Bolshevik tribunal. This novel spans decades of time, and we see our count, who is living in the attic of the hotel, I should say, observe history over 3 decades. And what we come to discover or really witness, live through, is how he's able to, in the process of witnessing history, just see the quiet grandeur of a life well lived. So we're turning our conversation into the heart of the novel. We're going to talk about its beauty, its melancholy, its humor, and its surprises. And this is going to be a no holds barred conversation. So this is your spoiler warning. We are going to talk about it all. If you enjoy thoughtful book conversations, and I know that you do because you are hanging out here, then I want you to like, subscribe, and please share with others so that we can grow this community. And I also invite you to participate in our conversation tonight by leaving your comments in the comment section. And so I think that's all I have to say. So now we can get into really what I want to do, which is talk about this book with Lucila. Thank you for being here. So excited to have you.
It's my total pleasure. Also, that I finally get to talk to you about it because I saw you yesterday and just dashed past you so that I would be tempted to talk.
Yes, like all the things that we had to do to be like, nope, not talking about it for the show. Okay, so I have, as I said before, I did not know this. I don't know how this happened. I didn't know, never heard of this. So this is like one of the best gifts to me that a friend can give, is a beautiful book. And this truly, truly is a beautiful book. I think it's a masterpiece. And it actually is contending for my number one read of the year.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. 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 And so I've been sitting with, like, just as soon as, like, this one, and you understand because you read it, like you finish it and then you're just thinking about it probably all the time. It's with you. And I keep coming back to a question of, like, what makes a life well lived? What makes a life meaningful, especially when so much is taken away? And I think I want to start tonight's conversation about what stayed with you the most after you close this book, after the story. Like what feeling, or what wisdom, whatever that is. Like what stayed with you, what stuck?
First, Chantel, I have to say that I am delighted to know that you enjoyed the book, because it has felt like one of the lighter books that you and I have talked about.
Yeah.
And in part, that is because in this moment, in the middle of the semester, I just need the gentleness of this book.
Yeah.
And I did worry a little bit that it would be too light for us. But
I know. You sent me the text.
I know. But I am, so then I picked it up again because I had read it many years ago, and just, again, love the gentleness of it. And I picked it up again and I thought, oh, there's depths here that I had forgotten and that are belied maybe by the whimsical small stories.
Yeah.
And so I think the feeling, I like, your question is about the grandeur of a life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that a grand life can be gentle or have a gentleness about it. I think that's one of the things that has stayed the most with me.
Mm-hmm.
But also this time, I did two things. I read the book and I listened to the book. Because I have been needing to drive a lot. And I finished the book in audio and I picked up the version. And I realized that this is the kind of the image or the phrase that has kept sitting in my mind, is that at the end, the Count says to Sophia, then one has to master one's circumstances.
Yes. Yes.
Which is what his uncle or godfather figure had said to him.
Mm-hmm.
But his godfather figure had been a grand man, had been someone who had had a lot of control over his situation, had been one giving advice to many people. And the Count is one that has led a smaller life, and what it means to master one's circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh,
Oh my
I love the balloons. I love that. That was like right on time. That was like, it was what I was feeling in like my heart, because that quote that you talk about, that's one that stuck out to me. Well, before I even get there, you mentioned whimsical, and it's interesting. I saw the whimsy of this, but there's also at the same time like such depth and such like he just did both so well. Like he was able to take this light steps and lofty, almost airy, but also deep, like heavy trodden steps as well. Like you got both. And the quote, like, if a man doesn't master his circumstances, then he bound to be mastered by them. And I'm like, that's a life quote right there. And when I was thinking about it, the first time we encounter like that thing earlier in the book, and then he repeats it at the end, like you said, I was thinking about master in the sense that I think about mastery, right? Like control, perfection, like you have to perfect your life, And so then to me, it's like your life's plan, right? What's your strategy? What's your plan? Like perfecting in that way. And your station, right? But by the end of the book, I think he totally, like you're saying, had a different definition to me about that. And I think to me, like mastery became accepting. Mm-hmm. Like there's things that he just accepted, but not in a downtrodden way, not in a victim way. Like these things he accepted fully, and he accepted with the fullness of himself. Like he brought the fullness of himself to these very new circumstances. And that has given me something different to talk about, like to think about as far as like mastering. Like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the feeling that you were left with at the end? That was mine, and that was my quote, but what was yours?
I felt like, honestly, at the end of this novel, I cried, which does not happen to me. One, I'm a T woman, so it takes a lot. And I was actually caught off guard. Like it moves, there's lots of movement. There's lots of things happening at the end, which we'll talk about. But I think I I understood like his choices when you know, at the end when he is with his willowy woman and he's not, you know, and Sophia's in America, or, you know, like, you know, we know that that's her route, that's her destination, and this separation of them. I just was left with the father's heart, and he so reminds me of my dad. And I think that's what caught me. And even now, like, he's such just a grand person. Like, what was stripped away from him in his title, society, in society, like people were like, you can't even call him excellency, you know, like what was stripped away from him physically, his physical stripped away. It did not strip away from his integrity and his character. And he was just like an exemplar of a man. Like, there wasn't a stranger. There's, you know, the saying about my dad, like he met no stranger. And he was the one that would roll up his sleeves and scrub the floor and wash the dishes and help do this and help do that. And took care of people, took care of hearts, he just was a good father. And I just was left feeling, I don't know, like I was left feeling connected to my dad in a way that was unexpected. So thank you for that gift. And I told Cherie to read it, and she did buy the copy, and we're going to have another conversation. And I also felt like I was happy that there was something in him that rose up, and like and he fought for what was right.
Yeah.
For himself and for his daughter.
That's right.
And that he allowed his buttons to get messy. You know?
Yes.
He allowed for those buttons to get messy, to get like mixed up.
Yes.
And it was very encouraging. It was really encouraging. Yeah.
Yes. First, I love to know that the Count is like your dad, because I have heard stories, and now I know more, and I can put them together in a different way, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I wonder if your dad was like this too, or if this is just the Count. I like that he is at the same time very earnest about his reflections and his way of approaching the world, but is flummoxed all the time, or you know, or the situation changes around him very quickly, and he's so artfully, so thoughtfully articulated the way that things are, and they just happen
so quickly,
and differently. And he is able in that moment to both register that he has been bested by life or by the other, and take it with such grace. I think, I mean, there are many moments, but the moment, two very different ones. One with the mustache, and you know, or reading Montaigne, the mustache. Sophia playing the hiding the thimble.
Yes.
He's standing on his principles there. And then he realizes he's been outsmarted.
Outsmarted by a child.
And will accept it as gracefully as a gentleman might.
Right.
That combination is just so special to me.
It is. And I wonder if we would have been able to have that experience if it was written in first person. I don't think so.
You're right.
I think that the way in which he chose to tell the story, the narrative mechanism, allowed for us to like engage with the both, that reflection that he has, which is just where you get swept in. And it's like me when I'm reading that part, I'm like, oh, I want to stay in these and the ways in which he's describing and thinking and experiencing the world. And then life intrudes, and then life comes in, and then you get his sometimes disheveledness or clumsiness and him keeping it together. And I think that is so witty. It's so witty and clever how it's done amazingly. And this is kind of the thing that boggles my mind, like almost like from a craft. This story, the premise of it, it's a man in a hotel, the same hotel for like 32 years. And it's not even in the age of like where we have all this technology and stuff, right? It's 1922 it starts. And it's like, this is going to be a slow moving book. That was my thought. Okay, this is going to be very slow moving.
Hello.
How long is it going to take me to get through this? It's going to be very slow. But the pacing was it was not slow at all. Like and yet you still had this feeling of time. Time was such a character to me here. Like you still and kind of like overt calls out to it, like his grandfather clock or the noticing of the time in these ways, like time physical, also time physical and the different things that he's noticed about himself and how he's aged, which just seems so natural as one who's aging, and you're like, I'm noticing this, I'm noticing that. The times of the society, like the times of the day, just with the different things of like women's attire, what they're wearing, like these kind of rules that are changing over time and societal norms. But and those things kind of like the aging and the norms move slowly. And then you all are like, oh, we have this, but the stuff in the hotel is happening so fast. Like to me, this felt like exits and entrances and exits of characters in situations. Yes. And I loved that. Like while maintaining though this great pacing. I don't know how he did that. I was really impressed by that. Very impressed.
I agree. I had not noticed time as a character, but you're absolutely right. The twice tolling clock, and each day, by when should one's work mostly be done so that leisure can commence, and by when should one be in bed to make sure that the day-to-day rhythms, but also the decreasing number of squats that he makes. Yes. Yes. And Nina changing and Sophia coming along. And there's a sense of fullness even as even as time is changing. You know that the image that comes to mind right now for me on time is that part where it says the count was, when his relationship to time changes because Sophia
comes in. Yes. I loved that.
Yes.
That so resonated. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Where now the question is, where is it? But
where is it? I'm getting close.
I know. We no need to cite verses, but
yes, right.
But I think that where Sophia comes in, but also when he realizes that Sophia can leave, and he says, that he had always been a man basically who was late. That the banker could always wait for another conversation with friends, but in that moment, he became, what is it? He became reacquainted or befriended the second hand of the clock.
Yes.
Because the time was now. And it makes me think a little bit of, in a non-sacred sense, but of like a kairos time. That if we're not always rushing, if we're not always on the go, then maybe when the moment does come for urgency, we are ready to meet that moment. But that moment is not always.
Right.
And yes.
Yeah, I love that. And we're not all I think that there is what we saw is that there's a readiness, that he was ready, but then he also wasn't ready at the same time.
Say more.
Like, well, I think that there was this when Sophie first, came, when Nina was like, here's my situation, I need you to take care of my child for about 2 weeks or a month. Okay. Yes, I'm married. I have a child. Here she is, and here you are, your uncle. Okay, and bye, because I gotta go try and save my man. Pretty much the situation in the hotel. And he goes over there and he's like, oh, of course, I'll lend a hand, and he does it. And I'm trying to find the spot. It's so good. But then you see he has this like moment where he slows down, like within the matter of, I think he said, like 15 minutes. All of these things transferred.
Yes.
And there was a part of him that was ready because his relationship and his fondness that he had with Nina when she was little, I think readied him, plus he's a moral man, and someone is in need, right? So I'm going to, so I think that also makes him ready. But at the same time, I think we also saw kind of a spin out of the parts where he wasn't feeling like ready, like, oh, I really know. And I love the scene where he takes her to dinner as his routine. And the waiter, and he orders, I forget whatever meat he orders. And this child is like, she's like 5, 6 years old. And she's looking at it, and he's not understanding why she's not eating. And the waiter's like, would you like me to cut her meat for her?
Yes.
And then, she doesn't want dessert. And he's like, okay, like, I mean, that's
from a child.
Like, from a child, you don't want dessert. And the waiter's like, I think she needs to use the ladies' room. And he's like, so I think, like, at the same time, there's a realization, I'm not ready. And he even tries to hand her off to Marie, and I loved her comeback. I loved her, like, her answer. And so I thought that was so human.
Yes.
When you say yes to something that you do know, like Kairos, I've been prepared for this, and I'm unprepared for this at the same time.
That's right. Yes. The page where Nina drops off Sophia is 234.
Thank you. I was right here around it. Yes.
Well, but the one with the dessert is 246.
246. Yeah.
I just love that at the end, after Sophia goes to the bathroom. It says, a moment later, Sophia emerged, looking relieved. But then, despite her readily apparent love of interrogatives, she hesitated, like one who is struggling with whether to ask a question. What is it, my dear? Is there something on your mind? Sophia struggled for another moment, then worked up the nerve. Can we still have dessert, Uncle Alexander?
Yes.
Now it was the Count who looked relieved without a
Yes, I love that. I love that.
What a
Yes,
sweet change.
yes, I love that. I love that. I love that. And you know what? I think I was so for them in that moment. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay, it's gonna be okay. And I just there was something that I just loved it. And the thing I was gonna on 235, when Nina drops her off, um, and he's contemplating. It's this quick. He has minutes to run this through his head.
Yeah.
He said he would not even have attempted to dissuade her. How could he?
That's right.
This was the very woman who, as a child herself, had crossed the piazza without hesitation in order to become his friend, who had shown him the hidden corners of a hotel and bestowed upon him, quite literally, the key to its mysteries. When such a friend has sought out one to ask for aid, particularly one for whom asking favors in a time of need does not come naturally, then there is only one acceptable response.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I loved how Towles turned people that walked into the hotel, the guests, and people who were of the hotel, the staff, into family.
Yes.
And how affection becomes like its own kind of freedom for him in this space where there was, I mean, it was confinement. It was luxurious confinement. But I had to keep reminding myself, because it is a luxurious hotel, and my experiences, I go in and out, and I had to keep reminding myself he hasn't been outside for fresh air.
That's right.
Like, he is confined.
Yes.
And that, well, he has been outside for fresh air. I take that back, to the roof.
To the roof.
But not just out. He can't go on his own. He's not free. And yet, he's not even free to pursue and nurture the friendships that he had before being confined to the hotel. In his time, it was always kind of waiting when his friend Mishka could come, or it was their time. He didn't have freedom in that. And yet, so he was limited. But these other relationships, these friendships and family ships that he cultivated, in a sense, to me, was like a form of freedom for him, or allowed him to be free in a different way. And I'm wondering, which one of those relationships, like, did you connect with the most, or that moved you the most, or you enjoyed the most?
Gosh, it's so hard, Chantal. I think I've kept thinking about the one. What do I say? Contenders. The
Yes,
contenders.
okay. Contenders. We can accept contenders. Yes.
Thank you. One is the triumvirate.
Yeah, that's one of mine. Yeah.
Oh, they're just so wonderful.
I love it.
They're so wonderful. The other one, and I'm trying to see if I can quickly find the place where Emile and Andre are bringing the cake to celebrate, or Sophia.
Yes.
And they don't know that there's a closet.
There's the closet room. Yes, I love that. Yes.
And just the image of the two of them, let's see, because I think I'm close. The image of the two of them responding differently to the closet door being opened. Oh, yes. So Andre offered a sympathetic smile Oh, so Emil, the chef, Alexander Illich, this is 361. He demanded, "What in the name of Ivan were you doing in the closet?" The closet through which we go through a secret room. Says Andre offered a sympathetic smile and then made a little sweeping motion with his hands as if to say, "The world is wide and wondrous are the ways of men." But Emil furrowed his brow at Andre as if to say, "Nonsense."
Right. Right.
Two lines. The characters are so vivid and so
they are
lovable.
They are.
I've met, I feel like I've met them, and not only have I met them, I've through the eyes of the Count, I've learned to see them as artists, as craft people who love something in such a way that they make it an art. And I think the steady disposition of the Count to attend to other people's loves and love what they create, what they see, the wonders that they bring forth.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my favorite parts of the whole book. I'll pause there because I'll give you a contender, but I need to talk about the triumvirate.
I actually they actually were my duo. I mean, it's hard because I was like, oh, I just love his relationship with Nina. I loved her. She's just such a precocious child. And I loved, like, to me, she was the life force for him.
Yes.
At the right time, she entered into his life. And also the symbolic color that stood out, that was referenced, that she was always in yellow. And I just, think of light and hope. And he noticed the yellow, her yellow dress, her yellow this. And I think that she helped to pull him out of of himself. Not only of his circumstantial self, but also just of himself, of his gentlemanly self, of risking, oh gosh, I'm going to go on this balcony and split my pants again, right? I love that, right? Yeah. Like, I love that. Like she did that. And I think in a way, she was so catalytic. She helped, she introduced to him, or really she showed him through play, through the power of play. Very serious though. Because I always say that, play is a serious work of childhood. She was very serious about it, and through that power of play, he was able to tap into a different part of himself, like his own, all the different rooms and layers of himself that may not have been as explored, and gave him a permission. So I really do like Nina for that. And I wonder, would he have been able to see, appreciate, pursue these other people in the way in which he did, or make space in the way in which he did, if he had not had that relationship with Nina? And I don't, I think that there are aspects of him that are just like true him, but I also think that there's things that he discovered about himself and where he was stretched that allowed him to show up differently and aided him, right, in a way. And we see how these characters, how they help him as well. Like the trio is a show that I would tune in for every day.
Every day.
Every day. I love how you said they're so vivid. I can hear the voice of Emil. Like I can hear Andre, their body language. I can hear it. And I just can so imagine their time together, how serious and precious and necessary and fun like it is. And I loved what you said about, because I didn't think about it when you said that it helps you see people differently because we know those people. And when I first met Emil, I did not like him. Like, you know, and he was like, but I know that type that I don't like, right? It's like, oh yeah, I know you. Like, you know, and you're, you know.
Yes.
And then at the end of it, I had such affection because I was it's kind of like what Nina did for the Count did for me.
Ah, I love that. That's right. That's right. And affection is the right word, because I want to say something like, there's no romanticism of these characters.
Yes.
I actually thought of you a lot reading this book again, because of how central children are to teaching the Count, right?
Yeah.
And how childlike the characters are. Like Emil and Andre and the Count are all engaged in very serious play. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're playing.
Yes.
The discussions at the bar of what did Russia offer the rest of the world, is just
Yes.
a lot of play in this book. And to me, an image, a scene that moved me a lot was when during that Christmas, when the Count gave to Nina the binoculars. And Nina said, "You know me best of anyone."
Best of anyone.
Best of
Yes.
anyone. And the Count clearly was pleased by this and realized that Nina probably didn't have anything for him, because she's just a child, right?
Yes.
And she actually had this gorgeous present for him, which was the key to the hotel. Literally what made his small confinement into a world.
Yes.
But it wasn't like Nina was an ideal object who couldn't be herself. She had to be a perfect child so that she could help him. No. It was a deeply mutual relationship between two very different people who took each other seriously and also honored each other and played together, invited each other into play in different ways. And I just love the mutuality in that relationship.
Yeah. And we don't know how to do that, I think, intergenerationally.
That's right.
We even us older people, like from generations to generations, I think that it's difficult to do that. That sense of mutuality that you talk about. And it was so, and in the fact, I love that, like, she pursued this person, like her sense of agency, his sense of agency.
Yes.
And their conversations that were not on the same level, but able to connect, you know, and things. And her, like, I loved, like, the experiment that she did. And she was so serious. And he was like, okay, she's serious. We are serious about this. There was such, all right, pushing my sleeves up and joining in. This is what we're doing. Like this, it was just so wonderful. And I wonder what the aspect of privilege has to do with that. Like the ability, the privilege to be so present. Because we also saw, so I guess what I'm saying is it's making me think about, because you saw also, which we can't ignore. It's so hard. Let me tell you, it is so hard to see some of like the other stuff that I don't want to see, right? Or like, oh, I see that. And what I mean by that is he's so present, he's so attentive, like he's all of these things with this child that's wonderful. And yet I wonder, what is something being said? Is there a commentary about the gift of privilege? Like that is a positive consequence of one having the luxury of time, right?
Yes.
To be able to sit and engage in conversations and play.
Yeah.
And to build friendship. And, you know, and to attend to this child and to this friend in this way, and to the examples of parents that we saw, we didn't get to know them, but we knew that they weren't present. And I just like, that's something. We also know that Marie isn't able to have the same type of presence for her child because she's working all day.
Yes. Yes.
We know that Andre isn't able for his child, or, their child, that his son, that,
Yeah.
And even though it's not in our face, right? So we're able to just enjoy the count. It was in the background for me that I didn't want to look at, though, Lucila. I really just didn't want to pay attention to that.
100%. I'm glad that we got here. And no, for sure, because let me say one thing before we move on to here, because I think the conversation that you're opening up is more important, but I want to get this in for that moment.
Yeah.
In the moment of the experiments, the Count wants to invite Nina to dinner because he's going to kill himself afterwards.
Yep.
Remember this?
Yep, I remember.
And it says in page 153, after she says no because they're doing the experiments, it says, on this of all nights, was the Count disappointed that Nina and her young friend couldn't join him for supper? Of course he was. And yet the Count had always been of the opinion that God, who could easily have split the hours of darkness and light right down the middle, had chosen instead to make the days of summer longer for scientific expeditions of just this very sort. In addition, the Count had a pleasant inkling that Boris might prove to be the first in a long line of earnest and attentive young men who would be dropping eggs from balustrades and riding bikes with buckets. Then I leave you to it, said the Count with a smile.
Yeah.
I think there's something here about a personal willingness to not cling to his own agenda, even in the moment, even in what he thinks is his last moments, right? That is willing to bless someone who's not going along with his plan. That speaks of something which, honestly, Chantel, I find hard to believe that a person of this much privilege would be so willing to let the other go along with their plans when he is about to die, when he is in final moments. And I think it connects with that. I think there's something deeply truthful about this novel. There's something about humanity that I see better after I see this novel. But there's something that doesn't quite connect, in that the life of someone as privileged as Rostov is not a life that has been formed to allow others their freedom to be, despite my agenda.
Yeah.
And so I find that very difficult. Like, not very difficult. I find it difficult to believe. Yeah.
To believe.
But to your point,
I want to actually stay with your point.
Oh yeah,
I want to. Oh my gosh, this is so, yes. So I think that this is part of, like, I was like, he's an exemplary person. He's an exemplar for reasons such as that, right? This unexpected answer, especially when it's like, what you're preparing to do is pretty significant, right? And it was very thoughtful. It was very planned. It was very organized in his mind. It was very exacting. But there is this thing that, and I can't find the exact, it says, life is every bit as devious as death. It too can wear a hooded cloak and will stop at the elbow of your arm in the moment you least expect it to whisper, come with me. And I think that we see a man perhaps who was not committed to ending his life. But we also see life personified because life is always capitalized. And shortly after your quote on 155, he says, "So yes, life was rolling along just as it always had." Um, and that life wasn't capitalized. It was just regular life. Life was rolling along, but in previous pages, it talks about the life interrupting, the capital L life.
Yeah.
And I liked, because before the life is just as devious, there was this quote about like death. Death comes and sits in taverns. And we know death to be devious. And we've seen images of that. But I hadn't thought about life being devious, like in that way. And I'm wondering if, like for me, it's this like, there was something about, I think, to your point, I don't think that um, I don't know if in if his regular circumstances he would have allowed her that freedom.
That may be right. That may be right.
But his current circumstances and his emotional circumstances he found himself in, that might have been the excuse that I needed to not be able to do the thing that I was planning to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
We see him change a lot.
We do.
Like he literally becomes a waiter.
He does.
In this he becomes a waiter in the novel, and we see him change a whole lot. I don't know. So I think that that's a she's also like tough. Maybe it's the way she also speaks to him.
She is.
Like she's kind of commanding and demanding.
When she said, "I'm not going to say thank you if you offer me something that I haven't asked you for." Yes. On the one hand, I thought, "Oh, what's that?" And then I said, "Yeah, why would we be obligated by people who
do that?"
You go ahead.
She's like a force. She's a force of her. She is like a forceful presence of a, like of a child. And I think that gets back to what you said, that mutuality. Yeah. Like in her, there was no gentlewomanness. Like she met him, I think, on it. There was a different thing maybe that she hit in him.
Yeah.
And I wonder about like the symbolism, perhaps, of like the physical key that she gave him. But I think that she was a key to him and these unlocking of doors, physical doors. But there was also the unlocking of these emotional doors.
For sure.
As well, that she helped to set in motion. Sure. Yeah, with him.
Chantel, I want to, though, I wonder if these two are related, because the other contender for me of the relationships that were really important were Anna Ubanova, of course.
I love her, yeah.
Yes, but especially when in that chapter, I think it's in 196, when they come together again after she has been humbled, right? And that she's and Towles says, like the Freemasons, the Confederacy of the Humbled is a close-knit brotherhood whose members travel with no outward markings, but who know each other at a glance.
Yeah.
Having fallen suddenly from grace, they share a perspective, knowing beauty, influence, fame, and privilege to be borrowed rather than bestowed. They're not easily impressed. They're not quick to envy or take offense. They certainly do not scour the papers in search of their own names. They remain committed to living among their peers, but they greet adulation with caution, ambition with sympathy, and condescension with an inward smile.
Wow.
And I think that speaks in part to what you are saying about in a different way, Nina becomes an invitation for the Count to be humbled and to move in a different way in his humiliation. Maybe is not too strong a word.
Yeah.
And then Anna has her moment, and in that they're able to find one another.
Yeah. Because I think that they, perhaps are challenged to ask and answer the question, like, what is important in life?
Yeah.
She was a very different Anna that we met when she was throwing all her clothes off the balcony like a crazy woman. Right?
I love her so much.
I do. I do. And he also was a different, I was like, look at this lover, like in his little lover play self and their secret rendezvous, and then him getting upset when, Sophia was talking to Anna, and he's like, no, I keep my buttons separate. I do not mix. And I love that they were like, okay, well, that's what you do, but we're not doing that. And he was just like, okay. And then there was this, and because of that, there was this grander affection and support that was having. And I think that the aristocrat didn't have to rely on friendship, maybe, in the way that the regular man did.
That's right.
And so the aristocrat was able to keep his buttons sorted. Matter of fact, he had people on staff to make sure they were separate. And part of the fun of seeing him kind of like, fumble in his life was that these things were overlapping. And he was overlapping, and that is so good. I love her strength. Anna's strength. I love her femininity.
Yes.
I love that. I loved her sensuality. I love the fact that even though we didn't see her all the time, we were able to see her growth, like somehow, like her growth. And I also really appreciated that there was no animosity or jealousy in Sophie. Like, she was able to esteem her, and she didn't feel threatened, because sometimes that's a thing. And I love that wasn't a thing. There was such foreness, for her. And I think that, like, her story, to me, there's so much there, to talk about women aging.
Yes.
Which is different from a man, like what she, had to endure. And when she decided to, when she chose the Count, because he's like a fugitive, right? Like, he broke the law. He's, and in choosing that, she walked away, from things. But she walked away from it, I think, at a time when she was ready to in her life.
That's right.
Like, she didn't do the thing of like, I'm giving up on myself for this. She had a full career. And I think when she stepped away from it, she was like, I'm ready to step away from it. And I'm ready to step into this.
That's right.
And I liked that that we saw that type of woman.
That's totally right. Yeah, there's no sense that she needed to be there for the Count.
Right. She wasn't a damsel. She was never a damsel.
No.
And I loved that. I loved that. I loved it.
Yes. Yes. I love also, there's too many things, but the different images of femininity that we have, because Sophia is playful and also very genteel and kind. Very smart, but also very ladylike. It's a very traditional image of femininity. Marina is an artist who will not put up with the Count's foolishness.
Yes, I love her.
Anna is her own person who develops in her own way and intersects with the Count, and they support each other. And they support each other is too flat a word.
Mm-hmm.
They're partners with each other.
They're partners, yeah.
Go back and forth. Nina is a very different image of womanhood.
Yeah.
So I do love, but none of them are dependent creatures who rely on the Count's gaze for anything.
No, for anything. And they're not weak.
No.
They're not. They are. Yeah, I love that you say that. They are such strong women. They are not the damsel that the gentleman, and they're also not wallpaper. They're not, and they're not. What I mean by that is like they're not like, the things to accentuate a room. When you think of the gentleman, when I think of like, oh my gosh, Pride and Prejudice, the women are to adorn the rooms so that the men, when they want to look up, they have these women to look at. They're not those women. They're not those women. And I also speaking of women, Lucila, I love the women standing in the lines for the bread. Like when there's in the scene where there's an old chapel that had been turned into a distribution, I think it was of bread or of milk, and the women, how they built community standing in those lines, and how they would hold space for each other in the lines to go in the back because there was still like this chapel in the back. And I loved seeing even a sense of community in women like that in these lines out there. That was such a powerful scene for me.
Yes. Yeah. Which I think I think we have to go back to that image of privilege here, because it is playing like a silent but really powerful role. And on the one hand, I think the book itself names it when Mishka says halfway through the book, who would have thought that when you were put under house arrest, when you became a non-person, what a term, when you became a non-person, that you had become the luckiest man in all of Russia, right? In the sense that he has a place, he has plenty, he's not at the whims of politics, he's not at the whims of need. He does have time to perfect a craft, to love a craft. And I think we get the sense, even in the Count's way of understanding the world, it's a very cosmopolitan culture, right?
Yeah.
The way that we are connected in the world is that we like to go see the opera in New York, and they like to come see.
Yes.
And there are moments where Anna and others say, we can't live our life in this way. This is not.
Yeah.
This is not the measure. I don't think we ever fully break from it. And there's a part of me that feels like this might be a bit of the fantasy of elites who would like to have their wealth, but not the responsibility for the polity that their wealth and privilege implies. And so then in some ways, the blessing of confinement for him is that he doesn't have the responsibility to think about what he has to do for the common good.
Right.
And in that sense, I think there's an escapism here. The part of me that I want to recover is to say, I want all of us to have the chance to have the life that the Count has. Can we all have this life?
Yeah.
Can we all have as you say, can we all have the privilege of tending to of like playing with our children? Can we all have the privilege of looking at a wonderful artist and saying, behold, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And it makes me think this is the kind of life that I want for all of us.
Mm-hmm. And it also gives a glimpse of what one would be doing with their time. Like
Yes.
these dinner conversations nightly. I'm not having to prepare my food. I'm not having to clean up for my food. And the depth of conversation and at the like, you know, the speed that the brain is moving at to hold those types of conversations, I was like envious of that. Like, you know, sometimes I sit down at the end of my day and I'm tired, you know, from the end of my day. And I'm not like, let me go get dressed, you know, fully dressed and down myself and go down and sit and decide what I'm going to order and then hang out at the bar and have after, you know, conversation and drinks and just to move through life in that way.
Yeah.
And even and what's so fascinating to me is that he was able to build real friendships and real relationships with people who were of the hotel who moved through life very differently. And the fantasy part of that, the fantastical part, is that their life, although we saw snippets of it through this omniscient narrator who gave us windows, we didn't get it through him.
That's right. That's right.
Which I thought, which was very, you know, it was his, yeah, we didn't get a sense that, oh, Andre looks tired from his sin.
That's right.
You know, or something. It's like they existed within his world, but he wasn't as knowledgeable or of their world outside of his world. And that so when you're talking about he didn't have to deal with that of it, the concern of it, he didn't even have to deal with the concern of it from the people that he was in relationship with.
You're so right. You're so right.
Yeah.
It makes me think of, you know, Rebecca Solnit's book, A Paradise Built in Hell, about catastrophe and the community that comes after. That there's something here about a kind of permanent catastrophe that insulates them from the rest of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way that's not, it is a fantasy.
It's a fantasy. And as wonderful as the Count is, he wasn't able to change conditions for the good within the hotel for the people who were there. And it just makes me think about, gosh, this is too short of a conversation because I know we're at time, but it makes me think about what people do with the privilege and where we find ourselves, especially in the context of where we find ourselves in our time.
Yeah.
And with our privilege in the spaces that we do occupy. Like how thoughtful are we? How much effort and energy are we of helping to make changes for the good of the people, you know? Because he, you know, there wasn't an improvement of that, you know, for the people there. We didn't hear about that.
That's right.
And so I think that also shows, like, as he is a man still of his class.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He is a man that is of his class and of his time, and he's a good man, you know, but he's a man of his class nonetheless. And also that people can continuously related to him in that way. So it wasn't just him, they related to him as well. Like their expectations, you know, as well was, you know, was that even in these friendships, he carried privilege.
Yes.
Yeah.
The image along those lines that most sticks with me is at the point where Richard and Rostov are talking about Russia or the USSR and the US.
Tennis. I love that. Yes.
But as tennis partners, and, you know, you've been predictable, but now you'll be unpredictable.
Yes.
And thinking about what that predictable game meant for the rest of the world, that did not experience the Cold War, that experienced violence of catastrophic scale, right? And that it's that friendship between two men who can talk about diplomatic relationships as a game of tennis, and to try to maintain that game of tennis predictable. It's they who have the agency, to spirit Sophia away, right? There's something about that again, to actually say the flip side of I think what you said of Rostov did not use his privilege to improve conditions.
Yeah.
The one who did use her privilege to improve conditions was Nina.
Yeah.
And she paid for it
with the loss
of her family.
She paid for it. Yeah.
And so I do think that we have Mishka too, right?
Mishka too paid for it. His wife, Katerina, I think, paid for it. Mishka paid for it first in the sense of, I'm not even going to get credit for my work, my words, because he wrote the poem. You know, even in that cost, like as an artist, as a writer, not being able to have your name to something, you know, for the cost, paid for it. I loved how Towles, though, used the footnotes to help jar us and bring us back to, while the Count is in his fantasy world and you all are enjoying this, here's some historical happenings. And we also got this, like the lines, the realities of what's going on. And we saw mountains be moved for the one that he cared about.
Yes, that's right.
But we don't see mountains moved, right? For the common person, for the common good.
That's exactly.
And that's, you know, that is, and in that way, I just wrote, oh gosh, he's so human.
Yes.
He's just, and what you get, though, is you get a larger than life person that you don't want to be human. You want this person to save everybody and save everything. And, you know, because you're like, you have this, you know, and then you get, and you're like, you're so human, and you're human trapped in your conditions, which is your privilege, you know.
That's right.
And you saw a whole different type of life in friendship with someone who also human, but didn't have the same type of privilege that he had, and the life and what led to that during this horrific time of pain and suffering. And it literally was the tale of like two cities, the tale of two worlds, this inside outside, you know.
That's so true.
And it's hard to, it was always to me so jarring when I was reading the story that I was enjoying and I was hit with these facts. It was jarring, you know. It was jarring to me. Some I knew, some I didn't. Some I didn't know that perspective, or I didn't know it in that way. And I just think it was a brilliant way of capturing our attention.
Yeah.
In a sense. But he's so good. Oh my goodness. This is too short of a time. I can't believe that this is too short of a time. I just thank you so much for bringing this book into my life. I so love it. As I said, we are gonna continue the conversation because Sharia's bought it, so we will be able to speak again about this book as I think she started reading it. But this is really just a gem, and I have not read his other books, but I definitely do want to get it. Although I've heard this is the one. This is the one.
This is my favorite.
Okay.
I have thoughts about the others.
Yes, part 2. Yes,
But
part 2. Yes.
Chantel, thank you for this. Yes, part 2.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me, for saying yes, for bringing this book into my life. I'm just, I love it. It is one that I'll definitely want to read again. I want to listen to it now that I've read it. I was going to ask you, did he narrate on the audio, or was it someone else?
I don't know who narrated it, but whoever did
it was good. Okay. I was going to ask that. Yeah.
There is a movie, and I only saw the trailer, which I think has a very different vibe. So there's also a world where reception histories.
Okay.
But
we will, yes. Okay. Yes. Thank you. So I just am so full. I'm so full. This was so good. I've been waiting for this conversation and looking forward to it since I started reading it. So good for us that we did not have any pre-conversations. Like, yay us.
High five.
And I think that you are an example that great books just aren't read, that they're lived with. And this book has been living with me and these characters. And that's what great books do. So again, thank you for bringing a great book. I mean, probably might be number 1 of the year. It's so shocking to me. So we've got to wrap up and go. To all that are watching, a big thank you. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, to like and subscribe. And next week, you guys, I'm going to be taking a break. So I will not be here with you live next week, as I will be celebrating 21 years of marriage. Yay! Yes. Can you believe it, Lucila? 21 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It is a cause that I am deeply, deeply grateful for. But the week after that, on the 27th, I will be back here where I'm sitting down with author Alex Villasante to talk about her latest YA novel, Fire Blooms. So I'm really excited. This just released September 23rd. And I'm very excited to talk with her about the book, and also about publishing, and just about her journey as a writer. So stay tuned for that. That is coming again October 27th at 7 p.m. Thank you guys so much. There that is, so that you can see it, and my friend Alex. So yay. Until next time, you guys, I hope that you stay well, that you are kind to yourself, and that you always stay reading. Bye.